Good evening. Today is June 22nd, 2020, and this is the fourth episode of New Paradigm. My name is Sangari. I'm the Republican nominee for Congress in the 9th Congressional District of Illinois. Joining me today on the program is Anthony Beckman, who became a police officer in 2003. And during his 17-year career has served as a patrol officer and also a field training officer, or what we call an FTO. He also served 8 years on the Northern Illinois Police Alarm System, NIPIS, Mobile Field Force. NIPIS is represents a joint venture of suburban municipal police departments in the Chicago metropolitan area. There's 15 police agencies that came together and created the program in 1983 to ensure effective policing when it comes to the times of natural disaster. This system has grown to include law enforcement agencies of over 100 cities, villages, and towns in 5 different counties. Anthony is currently the Norwood Park Republican Township Committeeman. He is also the Trump Delegate representing the Illinois 5th Congressional District, and the Union President of the Metropolitan Alliance of Police, the MAP, which is an organization which is composed of sworn police officers and other police-related employees who are employed with any state, county, or municipal agency. More importantly, however, Anthony is running now for the 10th District, Illinois State Senate seat. Anthony is a conservative, pro-law enforcement candidate whose major platform issues are fighting the progressive fair income tax, the high property taxes, the progressive abortion legislation, sanctuary state policies are out there, and the moves to defund the police. With all that said, Anthony, welcome to New Paradigms.
How you doing, Sargis? Thank you very much for having me tonight, and thank you for all the listeners out here watching us tonight. Hopefully you're staying safe and following the right orders.
Anthony, I wanted to make sure I just gave a kind of a background on you for our listeners. Tell us a little bit about yourself. I know you're running in the 10th State Senate. What are the boundaries for that particular location? And give me a little bit more of a background, if you can, on your law enforcement time.
The boundaries that I'm in is the 41st Ward, 45th Ward, 38th Ward, 39th Ward, Norwood Park Township, which comprises of Norwich and Harwood Heights, a small section of Des Plaines, Schiller Park, Rosemont. That's basically the whole entire State Senate District 10. In terms of policing, you basically explained everything. I'm currently in my 18th year on the force. Like you said, I've been a part of NIPIS. I also served as a field training officer for several years. Now I'm just a patrol officer. I'm working the midnight shift. And that's basically where I'm at with law enforcement.
Anthony, in those 18 years now that you've been on the force, what's the biggest changes that you have seen within law enforcement? We had 104 shot and 14 killed just this weekend. I wanted to get your thoughts about what has happened when you first initially came in. How has law enforcement changed or hasn't changed? And what are some of the issues that we could address as far as the fixes are concerned?
Well, when I first came on back in 2003, obviously law enforcement was one more respected back then. Not much has, actually everything has changed with that. In terms of the policing and law enforcement training, everything is basically the same. I mean, we're trained the same kind of way. We're actually trained better now than we were, 20, 30 years ago. 99% of the police officers go out and do a very good job. It's the very small percentage of the 1% that gives the bad name to police officers, which which it shouldn't be that. I mean, 99% of us are doing a good job. There's no profession out there that's perfect. I mean, you have bad attorneys, bad judges, bad doctors. 99% of us go out there to protect our community, to serve the people that we're working for, and to watch over each other's backs and go home safely every night. The thing that has changed, I believe, the first major case was the Cambridge case, and then after that was the Ferguson case. That's when law enforcement really has changed. There has been a target on our back since then. We've had so many movements, obviously like the BLM, Antifa that was created, and now we're seeing more of it with those movements changing in the direction of, of a negative aspect towards police officers. The left-wing media is actually demonizing us. You have Democratic politicians that are not on the side of law; they're on the side of anarchy, rioting, protesting. Protesting is all well and good. I'm all for everybody's First Amendment rights, but it's peaceful protest, and I think that's what we have to get back to. I mean, everybody has a platform for peaceful protests, but it's the violence and the rioting that's causing the havoc in these major cities. And if we look at it, all these major cities have been run by Democrats for 70, 80 years, and even the states. You have ineffective leadership by governors, mayors. We have in Cook County, our commissioners here, they all voted, except for a couple of them, to defund police. What are we going to do with defunding the police? We're just going to have more crime. Like you said, we just had over 100 shootings this week, 14 murders, and we even had a 3-year-old that was murdered. We don't see no protesting for them, and those are real victims in society. And we have to get back to, obviously, what President Trump has been running on, law and order, and we have to stand with the police. We have to bring the police into communities. If that's community meetings with police officers and local officials in that area, we have to get back to a law and order type of government.
No, look, I agree with you. Especially in today's time, if you do not support the police, it's very difficult. Majority of the deaths in Illinois have been related to COVID for the police officers that have been out there. Not only are they now dying from this invisible enemy they're fighting, at the same time, you have to deal with the fact that you don't know if the politician is going to back you up on either side. I told a recent friend of mine, I said, even on the far right guys who want to say that you got to send the police in, go into Seattle, break up what is happening with these Antifa and other organizations now, are actually fighting each other within that area to try to take that back. The first people probably going to turn on you if there's bloodshed on the street. It's going to be the same people are sending you in. Even from the far right side of the house, saying go in and break it up as hard as you can. So morale, I understand, is down. I'm a member of the Legion of St. Michael Law Enforcement Community International Representative Forum too, and I can tell you it's difficult when the boss says go in, especially in areas like Seattle, or go in areas in Illinois. And you don't know if, tomorrow there's a shooting, you're trying to defend yourself, protect your life, and they're going to throw you under the bus. Now, we all know that police officers' life is difficult. Police aren't complaining about that. That is the reality of what they sign up for. But you don't need to put additional pressures on them and make it difficult. And I think it goes back to the fact that if you have politicians who just don't have the will to go back to law and order and ensure that those laws are enforced, you're going to have what you have today. Majority of what's happening today in Illinois is the drug turf war that is taking place. When we initially pushed the policing into the urban areas to go after the drug network, they all escape into the suburbs. That's why we had so much drugs appearing in the suburbs. And now that the police is being attacked, they're talking about defunding him, and the police is now even not able to do his job when it comes to the looting and the rioting that took place. The same individuals who had left those areas are now coming back in mass. In the case of Chicago, Ecuadorian and Honduras drug traffickers that are coming to the dry border area, being pushed through money through Venezuela and also money that is coming through Iran because it owns that place, are now using the Mexican connections here, and they're killing people on the ground in order to establish their drug turf. So it's very difficult on our police, and I commend you guys for being out there and working your best to try to still deal with this situation. What's your recommendation, Anthony, as far as how do you think we could move forward? What has happened in the past has happened. Where can we go from here besides some of the things you mentioned as far as being more involved at the local level when it comes to the decision-making process?
I think first of all, we have to stop with the negative rhetoric that's being used by politicians and the left-wing media. And I mean, we first have to get these targets off of the backs of police officers, and I mean, we have to, obviously have a better communication with the citizens that we're representing. I mean, we have to try to get them, to talk to us, and also, what needs to be done. We need better schooling. We need jobs being created in these areas, and obviously, the last 3 years we've seen the unemployment rate for African American, Hispanic, and women going down. That actually helps. Economics helps. Schooling helps. Better schools. We have a public school system here that we really need school choice, because we have to start educating people and explaining what law enforcement is about. We can't be teaching in our schools that police officers are bad. We can't be teaching the bird rule, where every police officer that you encounter is going to target a specific race or demographic. That's not the way to highlight things. I mean, police officers are there for safety. They're there to to get the bad guy. We're not there to get the good guy. And like I said, that 1% should not be highlighting what the rest of us, 99% of us, do on a daily basis, a good job. I mean, we're out there protecting the communities. We want to get the bad guys off the street. We want to get the drug dealers. We want to get the murderers. We want to put them behind bars. But we also have to look at our judicial system, especially in Cook County. I mean, we're releasing prisoners. I mean, and which is a joke. I mean, how do you release a murderer or a pedophile or a rapist or a big drug kingpin in the middle of an epidemic? We've been releasing prisoners for years now, especially under the leadership of Kim Foxx, who's our state's attorney. I mean, she's releasing prisoners. That's not helping. Even the facts, even the statistics showed with that within 48 hours, these repeat offenders were committing more crimes. That's not the way to protect neighborhoods, to protect people, and it's not making the jobs of police officers easy either. And what you talking about, what's going on in Seattle, in the little town of Chaz, which they want to call it. I mean, my question to you would be, what do you feel President Trump should do? Do you feel that the military should be called in with this? I mean, obviously, the mayors and the governors in these towns are handcuffing police officers. We're in a catch-22 where we can't do. Even if we do the right thing, we're still not doing the right thing in terms of their what they want done, or what the media wants done. So, how do you feel about that, Sargis? Do you feel that we should be calling in the military to break up these little areas that are being taken over? This is an act of treason when you're trying to take over an area in a city. Where else are they going to go? Are they going to go into other big cities? We have to take a stance on this now. So, for you running for Congress, what is your take on this?
Look, I would approach it this way. And I was actually asked today. There was a local station called in and did a on-spot interview on it. As I told you earlier in my discussion, you have to be able to understand how to kind of walk the fine line, right? And people don't really look at what police do. Even the organizer, the person in charge of that little area, was begging. You could see it on video of the paramedics to come in after the shooting took place just a couple of days ago to be able to support the victim. And you have a lieutenant on the ground from the police who has to make the call to say, I can't send the paramedics in there because you're not allowing me to bring the police in. to secure. Again, the police is demonized if they go in. The police are demonized if they don't go in. Well, the police can only operate under the laws that were passed by the legislator. So these individuals are out there that are protesting. They have some are violent tendencies, other are there for different reasons. These individuals are all fighting against the judiciary. I should say not judiciary, legislator, because the legislator has not done their job. They have absolutely not done their job, which is the reason where we are today. And I think a lot of this stuff, if you want to really change it, November 3rd, 2020, vote the individuals that are in charge of the legislator out. Clean house, bring new blood in, new individuals, new perspective, and start getting individuals who are actually going to be politicians. In this case, are going to make the tough call. There's elements right now that are in that particular area, Chad, that are fighting each other internally. There's more than 12 elements that are absolutely at each other's throat. Let them fight it out. Let them clean themselves out. Because if you do introduce police right now and you go muscle to muscle, there's going to be bloodshed. Because you have some elements within that little enclave that are willing to die and from their perspective, become martyrs fighting against the U.S. government. The problem is if you have politicians who have already shown that they don't have the ability to do anything about it, then that you're going to have to deal with the consequences. Look, a lot of people don't know, but the Insurrection Act of 1807 gives the U.S. president the authority to deploy active duty military to maintain or restore peace in the times of crisis. The act itself was used multiple times. It was invoked in the 20th century, especially by the Republican president at the time, Dwight D. Eisenhower, military guy, who sent the 101st Airborne Division in to enforce the desegregation of the public schools in Little Rock, Arkansas. And then you fast forward to Hurricane Katrina in August 2005, and Congress went ahead and amended that particular Insurrection Act, which gave the president broad abilities to deploy the military to any of the states to suppress insurrections, to quell domestic violence, and a number of those issues. The amended act has expanded the language of the original act, which includes now disasters, pandemics like we're dealing with right now, which we're using the National Guard for, and also other serious public health emergencies, terrorist attacks like 9/11, or other incidents like that. The opponents of the amendment, of course, are all the 50 governors because they say you're taking power away from us. So there's a fine line to what the president can do. I think what he's trying to do is trying to force the governor and the mayor to do their job. And unfortunately, as I told you earlier, if I'm a police officer and you're telling me now in this climate that you haven't supported me, you're trying to defund me, you're trying to go even to ensure that you basically dissect my FOP that represents me, my union, and some of them have even mentioned about trying to take the collective bargaining chip off the table, which I would not give that up if I was a police union or even if I was a teacher union. Keep that because these individuals are going to do what they want to do for their own political wants and wills. The problem is going to be in this environment. Now you're going to get this guy whose pension is tied literally his entire livelihood, his kids' livelihood, their future retirement to the local controls, in this case at the state level. And the second you go in, somebody shoots at you, you shoot back, you could be prosecuted. And that individual who shoots at you could end up, being released by, like you said, Kim Foxx will not even prosecute them. It's very difficult to do policing when you realize you're being set up to go in for failure. And I don't think anybody can operate in that type of environment.
Definitely agree with that.
Anthony, I was looking at some of the other stuff that we discussed in our introduction. I want to be able to touch upon those a little bit too. Tell me a little bit about the tax issues here. How are you going to address those when you go into the state senate, and what are some of the unique viewpoints you have that others may not?
Okay, first of all, with the progressive income tax, fair tax, which they like to call it, they try to make it sound pretty. Most people don't really even understand what the progressive income tax is about. Currently, we're at a 4.9% flat tax. Okay, we were a couple years ago at a 3% flat tax. They're trying to do what they're trying to do is categories with this, make it in terms of stages, which in the first year, people, more middle class workers would not see a increase, but by year two, the charts have shown, anybody making between 40 to 75,000 would be increased to 8.2%. Okay, and anybody between 75,000 and 150,000 would be right around 9.2%. That's from 4.9%. So basically, they're trying to get their point across by saying middle class workers are not going to be affected by this. Only the wealthy people making over 500,000 are going to be affected. That's going to be their selling point. But all the data has shown, and I've taken actually classes on this, to see in the second year that progressive tax would be affecting everybody. So mostly everybody in the state of Illinois, most people are making over 40,000 or at 40,000 would be affected by this. And what they would try to do with that is be able to control the tax. Right now, California has the highest state income tax. We would be right there at a cap off of 11.2%. So basically, everybody in Illinois would be affected by that. And by that, even our pensioners right now who don't pay a state income tax would be affected during the progressive income tax. So everybody that has a pension, that's collecting on a pension, they will be coming after you also at that point. We have to look at this. They try to say, oh, there's other states around us like Iowa, Michigan, or Wisconsin that has a progressive income tax. We also have to look at that. The high end of their progressive income tax is 1 to 2%, and it doesn't raise up. We're currently at 4.9, and they want to raise us. They basically want to double our progressive income tax. So right now, in 2020, we're going to have it on the ballot, and I would tell all the voters out there to vote no against the progressive income tax. Obviously, if it gets voted down, we have a supermajority in the House and a supermajority in the Senate right now. Hopefully that would change in 2020 in Illinois. And obviously, hopefully, you're successful in your race, Argus, in taking the House seat, which would change our House and put us back in the majority and take over that. But we have to look at Governor Pritzker is until 2022. They're going to try doing something to get this legislation passed. They're going to try passing it somehow. If it fails come 2020 in our election, we have to stay strong on this. That's why this is going to be one of the major this is going to be one of the major agenda issues that I have going into that. My opponent was a big proponent of this. He's been talking about this for several years right now of trying to change the tax from a fair tax to a progressive tax. We have to fight this back because it is going to affect everybody. It's going to force more businesses to close down. It's going to force more people to move out of the state of Illinois because they're not going to want to work and pay into something so ridiculous. You know what I mean? And then they're going to find other ways to means of getting money. Right now, they're trying to gain $15 billion by this progressive income tax. That is a lot of taxpayer money. They're going to extreme measures. It's going to force more people out of the state of Illinois, and it's gonna put us even farther and farther down in deficit, and put us farther in terms of not sustaining any economic stability in this state. And I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's just ignorance on their part, or they're actually trying to push people out of the state. You know what I mean? They're acting like socialists, and we know that that's what they want on the federal level. I think a lot of these state reps and state senators want this on the state level. They want it across the board because we know that everything starts on the local and state level. I mean, obviously it affects us on the local and state level, and then it goes to the federal level. But I'm just telling everybody, vote no in terms of the progressive income tax, because you're going to see it on the ballot in November, and we have to vote it down and force the hand of the state reps and state senators to try doing something with this.
Yeah, and look, I would add on to that too. And look what they're doing, right? The politician initially tried to bring the union in, sucker them in to write these policies with them to handcuff them so they would vote for them. Now they're trying to, on the back end, to tax them because they realize that what they did initially to trap him is not working anymore. And if I was a union guy, whatever was a teachers union or from any of the FAL, CIO, or the police union, I would vote no, because this is a backdoor of trying to tax your retirement and your kids' retirement based on the contract that they had signed. Look what they're doing. They're trying to go after these unions to break them up as best as possible. And they're going to try to do it and try to blame the other side, in this case, the other party, on what they're doing actually to try to really break the power of the unions in the state. Then they're going to turn around and they're going to try to tax really the income that some of the family members of these individuals are relying on for their future. And what they're also doing, and this is important to the point you made, when you mentioned education is a big piece on my platform too, and I have a letter coming out sometime tomorrow or Wednesday that was going to look at what is happening, especially with the shootings that are taking place. A majority of the people living in the areas where these shootings are taking place are decent people. They want to be able to live a decent life, be able to be happy with their kids, be able to go out and set up a business. They want to become a middle-class family. And these individuals that we have currently with this tax are going to try to destroy even that future, so that the American dream cannot be, cannot be something that they support or cannot be something that they achieve. So look, we'll get more times to talk about these things on the campaign trail. But before we go, I do want to kind of get your information, insight on where do people go to support you? How's the campaign going as of right now? And how can the listeners help you out?
Right now, the main site that you could go to is the Northwest Side GOP. There's a drop box on there. You could click my name, Anthony Beckman, for state senate. You can make contributions and donations to that website, which I would greatly appreciate. We're in a fight of our life right now. I'm not a politician. I'm a police officer. I'm running because I want to actually change things. I want to make the lives of the constituents that I serve better for them. I mean, we have career politicians that don't do that. I'm not going to be one that's going to be taking money from big donors. I'm not going to owe anybody. I'm not going to be with the hedge funds. That's where you get into corruption in politics, and I'm trying to rid myself of that. Just like President Trump is trying to drain the swamp in Washington, we have to drain the swamp in Illinois, because the Illinois-Chicago Democratic machine has been in power for way too long. They've been a corrupt organization, and we need people. We need real patriots to fight back. And like I said, I would gladly appreciate any contributions, $5, $10, anything that you could donate. I'm here to fight. I just went through 11 months of fighting leukemia. People thought I was crazy for running, but the same fight that I took to my battle with leukemia, I'm going to take to Springfield, and I'm going to be a thorn in the side of Governor Pritzker and all those leftist socialist Democrats in the state Senate. I'm going to be a thorn in their side. I'm well-rounded, and I'm a fighter. I'm going to be fighting for the people. I like Sargis was saying, I've been a police officer for 18 years, and I took that job to serve my community. And I want to serve the people of the state of Illinois. It's not about money. It's not about power for me. It's about doing the right thing and serving the people in the right kind of way. And when we start electing people like that are actually worried about the people and not their own pockets, not their power, not their donors, then we'll start making changes in this state. But until then, we're going to be falling further and further into the abyss.
Look, that goes to the point for the viewers that are listening. I mean, there's a police officer, head of a police union, went through leukemia treatment, and now is still running because just like I see the sense of I got to get into the fight because my country's in trouble. Anthony sees the same. I see it at the federal level. He sees it at the local level. And look, this talks well to the point of the fact that most police officers are good people, professionals, and they're decent people. They want to help. And I think that's what is missed when you demonize the police. And in this case, Anthony, thank you very much for going out there fighting. A lot of people don't know that we don't get any support financially from anyone. And I'll tell you, on both sides of the house, you won't get help from the Illinois GOP financially, $0. You will not get help even from anybody out there who's looking at as far as trying to support a local candidate. Once the polls start getting higher and you're doing well in polls, suddenly they'll all become your friends. Suddenly they'll bring money. And this is a problem with our system. If you get good candidates on the ground, support them. Don't come in because you ran some matrix numbers that says Anthony has a pretty good shot of winning the state senate. Let's go invest in him. Or that, Sangari has a good shot of probably winning the ninth. Let's go invest money in them. Because guess what? Both Anthony and I, we will remember the fact that you only came in to help when you thought that you were going to be able to earn something out of it. The people who have helped us are our community folks. It's a local politics, individuals, your neighbors that help. We all need the money, and that is the best way of garnering the financial support you need to run. But it's not always about money either, right? It's about votes. So my recommendation is please go out if you're in the 10th state senate and vote for Anthony. And of course, for me, go to votesangari.com. Support us however you can. We have our yard signs out, and just word of mouth and vote us in so we could help you make a change in the future. Anthony, I'll give you the last word before we log off.
Thank you very much, Sergeant, for having me on tonight. And thank you to all the listeners out there. Just stay with the blue. Stay with your law enforcement, your local law enforcement agencies. Support them. Be on the right side of law. And God bless to all my listeners out there. And God bless America. Thank you.
God bless America. And this is New Paradigm. And as we depart today, we'll leave it up to POTUS to speak about the executive order that he signed. Thank you very much, and God bless.
Today is about pursuing common sense and fighting for a cause like we seldom get the chance to fight for. We have to find common ground. But I strongly oppose the radical and dangerous efforts to defend, dismantle, and dissolve our police departments, especially now when we've achieved the lowest recorded crime rates in recent history. Americans know the truth. Without police, there is chaos. Without law, there is anarchy. And without safety, there is catastrophe. Of all murders in Chicago, and 68% of all murders in Baltimore went without arrests last year. Americans want law and order. They demand law and order. They may not say it. They may not be talking about it, but that's what they want. Some of them don't even know that's what they want, but that's what they want. And they understand that when you remove the police, you hurt those who have the least the most. Additionally, we're looking at new advanced and powerful, less lethal weapons to help prevent deadly interactions. New devices are being developed all the time, and we're looking at the best of them. And cost is no object. Law and order must be further restored nationwide, and your federal government is ready, willing, and able to help. As we did in Minneapolis, after it got out of control for 4 days, we sent in representatives, commonly known as the National Guard, and it was all put down very quickly. We're willing to help. We're willing to help in Seattle. We're willing to help anywhere you want. And we'll be there very quickly. It won't take long. What's needed now is not more stoking of fear and division. We need to bring law enforcement and communities closer together not to drive them apart. Under the executive order I'm signing today, we will prioritize federal grants from the Department of Justice to police departments that seek independent credentialing, certifying that they meet high standards, and in fact, in certain cases, the highest standard. That's where they do the best, on the use of force and de-escalation training. For example, many believe that proper training might have prevented the tragic deaths of Antoine Rose and Botham Jean. As part of this new credentialing process, chokeholds will be banned, except if an officer's life is at risk.
Okay.